Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Exploring DC, where we take a piece of DC and explore it with you. I am your host, Josh Dobson. With me, as always, is my co host, Jackson Wells. Jackson, how are we doing today?
Dude, I'm pretty good. I'm gonna try and drink this entire full cup of water by the end of this.
I feel like you're always just trying to drink mass amounts of liquids on this show.
Time to stay hydrated. It's getting hot.
Yes,
It's getting hot out there with this global warming.
right.
It's more important than ever to drink water.
Yeah. And I know what you guys are all thinking. We didn't have an episode last week. And so your big question of the night is why does he have that shit on? Why does he have that suit on? I had it on before, and I'm like, I'm gonna wear it. I'm gonna wear it to the show. And guys, I won best dressed. I didn't. It's not based on my outfit, but I'm just really proud of it. So I fought. It's the Clark Kent fit, man.
That
You
is the
know?
Clark Kent fit, and that's
Yes,
fitting for today, isn't it?
it is. To address the other elephant, Jalen is not here. He is down with some sickness, but he will be back shortly. And
Yeah,
also,
he sounds like General Grievous, bro. Like
eh,
he does not sound. You don't want to hear his voice, trust me.
mm-mm-mm.
And I do think this is as a result. I've been swearing on his soul quite a bit over the past week.
Oh,
So
bro.
I
Okay.
think this is probably the repercussions of that. I've been swearing on his soul.
Yeah.
Everybody I know has been swearing on his soul and
Yeah.
just lying on him. Uh, but on Jalen's soul, I'm never gonna do that again.
On Jalen's soul, he needs to come back for the sake of the podcast, bro.
On Jalen's soul, I'm never lying on his soul
Reviling
again.
again. Yeah, and then the other thing is that I know we didn't put out an episode last week. We had some recording issues, which the episode was kind
We're
of like,
Jalen's fault.
yeah, more Jalen's fault, but we love you, buddy. It was too hard to put out, like the audio was all messed up, so we just decided to wait a week, and now we are back. Jackson, today we have two things,
We
but kind
do
of the
have
same
two
thing.
things, but they're the same thing.
All-Star Superman, the comic book run, which was bi-monthly from 2005 to 2008, and then the 2011 adaptation, which I don't. How should we tackle this? Should we go book, movie, just interchange? How are we
I think
feeling here?
interchange because we're basically talking about a thing and then a slightly worse version. Well, sorry, a worse version of said thing, right? Like that's kind of how we're tackling this, right?
I would say so. Let me pull up a quick synopsis here for everyone. All-Star Superman, Lex Luthor enacts his plan to rid the world of Superman once and for all. Succeeding with solar radiation poisoning, the Man of Steel is slowly dying. With what little time remains, the last son of Krypton must confront the reveal of his secret identity to Lois Lane and face Luthor in a final battle. So the comic book first, written by Grant Morrison. Grant Morrison's known for his famous Doom Patrol run, which inspired a lot of what the show turned out to be, and also he created Damian Wayne. So he's done a lot of big stuff. But the thing that I noticed, because I wasn't really piecing it together as I was reading it, and especially watching the movie, this really fits his brand of just kind of out there, which we'll get into, is out there material. Because there's some weird stuff in this that I was not expecting with some of the issues, and I thought it felt very in line.
Yeah. Also, I think Grant Morrison uses they them. Is that correct? Hold on, I'm looking that up.
That might be right.
I think that is right.
All right.
Anyway, sorry. I think that is Google is saying they go by they them.
All right.
Just for reference to the
For future,
podcast.
yes. Well,
But
anyway, they are
yeah,
incredible.
you continue. Yeah.
Yeah, I've loved their Doom Patrol stuff, and I thought there was a lot to unpack here. Art was Frank Quitely. He's worked a lot of Mark Millar, and he actually had a famous run on The Authority, which is interesting because we're supposed to get a film
Yeah, that
adaptation of
shit
that.
that shit is never coming out.
Yeah, but if it is, man, it's gonna be inspired, I think, a lot by Frank's work. And then the film, we'll run through that real quick. Directed by Sam Liu. He is like the master of cranking
He's
out
yeah.
these DC movies. Year One, Justice League vs. Teen Titans, Red Sun, Killing Joke, Death of Superman, Reign of Superman. So he's been around the block.
All of the above, yeah.
Jackson, this was written by Dwayne McDuffie, who I don't know if you know, created
I know the
Static
name.
Shock and did a lot of the Milestone Media
Huh.
universe. Like he co-founded that. What was cool about this was that he had written a few of these DC animated movies, I guess, after working with DC for a while. And unfortunately, he passed away in 2011. This came out a day after his passing.
Oh wow.
So I thought it was cool that he wrote this, even though it was like an adaptation of something that was
Yeah.
already like a lot of pull. And then composer was again Christopher Drake.
Who I
Every
feel like had a lot more pop on this one.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I was noticing it. It really worked for me. Yeah. Cast real quick. A lot of people that I'm not super familiar with. We had James Denton as Superman slash Clark Kent. As far as I know, this was the only time he did Superman. He's famous, ironically, for like a bunch of Hallmark movies, and he's also done Face Off. So what a career! And now he played Superman. But
Yeah.
I liked him. I thought he was a good voice for it. Christina Hendricks, who's known for Mad Men, she played Lois Lane. Anthony LaPaglia played Lex Luthor. Ed Asner, who voiced Carl in Up, played Perry White. I thought that was really
Oh,
cool.
I didn't even notice that.
Matthew Gray Gubler, who is like famous for Criminal Minds, but he also voiced the hit character Simon in the Alvin and the Chipmunks live action movies. Played Jimmy Olsen. The last two I thought the most interesting. Linda Cardellini, man, as how do you say his niece's name? Natasha.
I knew that sounded familiar. That makes a lot of
Natasha?
sense.
Yeah. So did I, and I was like, no way they got Linda Cardellini.
It's not a very big role either.
Yeah, this is post Scooby Doo as well, so she was like still relatively established and stuff. I was very
Yeah.
surprised.
Yeah, she's someone who's done a lot more voice work than I think people realize.
Yeah. And then the other one I thought was interesting, even though she doesn't have a big role in this, she has a bigger role in the movie, I think, than the comic, is Martha Kent. She's voiced
Yes.
by Frances Conroy, who played Arthur's mom in Joker, which
Oh,
was a cool little DC connection. But yeah, that's as far as casting goes. Admittedly, kind of less stacked than the Wonder Woman movie. We
yeah.
didn't actually release the episode for, but we watched last week.
Oh, yeah, shit. That was what we watched last. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what
that is, yeah.
ah,
But
shit.
this is still no one stood out as bad, but no one stood out as like top tier for me. But I enjoyed hearing Linda Cardellini because you know, I like
Yeah.
Linda. And that's covering all the basics. What is your prior knowledge of All Star Superman going into this? What did you know? How are you feeling about it?
Nothing, but reading through it, I was like, oh, I know that, I know that, I know that, I know that. I've seen that panel.
Hmm.
I've seen that line recited back to me. Like I have there was a lot more of this comic that I was familiar with than I had kind of thought going in. I didn't realize Lois getting her powers was in this comic. I didn't realize the very probably the most famous panel off of this comic of the girl on the rooftop.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that was from this. I didn't realize the "I love you to the end of time" line is from this. There was a lot of stuff in this that I didn't realize was from this,
right.
which I guess makes sense because this is like the Superman comic, you know?
Yeah. And you'd never seen the movie before, had pretty little
Never
knowledge
seen
of
the
that
movie.
one.
Nope.
Yeah. I'm very similar. I just knew that this was the one people always talk about. They're like, this is one of the best Superman stories ever. And obviously, we are watching it because it's inspiring the upcoming James Gunn Superman movie,
And you can
which,
already see that in the trailers, can't
yes.
you?
And we'll get into that as well. But my experience was similar, man. I knew very little. I knew that famous cover because I'd seen it a bunch of him
Yeah.
sitting there. The thing to me that was interesting, I think we could get off the bat, was it's a lot more episodic than
It is, and that
I
really
figured.
surprised me.
And
Yeah.
I'm wondering what your thoughts on it because I was like a little all over the place with some of them. I really liked some of the issues, but some of the other issues I was like, I don't know how I'm feeling about where we're
Yeah,
going
I
here.
mean that's just kind of the thing with episodic stuff is it's not all going to be equal. It's just never going to be that way.
Yeah.
Like Clone Wars is a very big example of that, I feel like. But
Hmm.
I thought this thing it managed to keep a consistent level of writing throughout the whole thing. But there were things I like. Anything with Lois, Clark, or Lex, like that's the stuff I gravitated towards the most.
Hmm.
Not that there wasn't some, because I don't know if this is true. You can tell me. I assume a lot of these characters were new that we see. Like a lot of these characters that Clark runs into, they seem like that they were new characters for the comic. Is that right?
As far as I know, but I know they were like inspired by a lot of Golden Age stuff
Oh,
and
okay.
especially like, with having Supermen from the future, like obviously
Mhm.
Superman's been a part of the Legion of Superheroes and bringing all that stuff in beforehand. So I think it was a nod to that, but a lot of it was new characters to me at least, and I assume to most people.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I thought it was interesting that they went that route because it starts off really strong for me. We can talk about individual issues as well, but I really like the Lois
I
issue,
love that. I love
and
that.
I'm happy that it was adapted pretty fully in the movie. But then we cut to like I think the next issue is the Jimmy Olsen issue, and I'm like, this is a
Yeah,
weird
it's a
turn here.
detour.
Right.
But it's like once I got into the groove of it, it clicked with me a lot more.
Yeah.
It did take me just because I wasn't expecting it to be structured quite like that.
Hmm.
I don't know why I went in expecting this to be more of a traditional linear progression, but it wasn't. Which makes it a particularly bad comic to try and do a one-to-one adaptation of.
Oh, I agree. I was watching the movie, and I was before I got into it because they were adapting the lowest one to one,
Yeah,
right? And that's one of the first issues. I'm like,
yeah,
there's no way they're gonna be adapting either the Jimmy Olsen one or the other weird one, which was the Bizarro
yeah.
Planet one, and they didn't do either. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense because
Uh-huh.
it's very much a detour. But I think what works, it still like fits into the overall thematic
Yeah,
theme of what the comic is. And the other thing too we have to think about is that this wasn't released like in succession really fast. This was released bi-monthly over the course of years. So it wasn't
yeah,
like you were experiencing this tonal whiplash really fast. It was like,
exactly.
okay, I'm jumping back into this world and it's like a different thing. But maybe that also could have been more jarring to like you get this really cool Lois issue and the next one is this very out there Jimmy Olsen,
Yeah.
which is I thought that Jimmy Olsen one was a nod to like the old style Jimmy Olsen comics where it was like my pal Jimmy Olsen turned into like a dragon or whatever they did back in the Silver Age. That is very much what that issue felt like of him just wearing these crazy outfits and like going into space and stuff. Very much old school Jimmy Olsen type stuff that we don't see
Yeah,
a
and
lot
I
often
liked I
anymore.
liked Jimmy. It was fun seeing him get to be like fully eccentric.
Yeah. I'm wondering if we're going to see, maybe not to dive too much into Superman, but if we're going to see a lot of Jimmy being like that because we haven't gotten a
We have,
proper
yeah, we
Jimmy Olsen
and
adaptation.
we haven't really seen much of him in the marketing yet. I mean, we know he's like a big part of the movie, but
Right.
we don't know how he's built in this one, you know?
Yeah. And I think in terms of like acting ability, Skylar Gazando can bring comedic talent to it. So I mean,
Yeah.
I'm optimistic about it, but like there's also they're bringing in all the other Daily Planet reporters and they have those in here too. Uh I thought they were okay. Like,
You
Steve
get it fleshed
Lombard
out.
doesn't really like do much for me anyway. He kind of feels like a knockoff Flash Thompson
Yeah.
always to me. And so this, didn't move the bar. And then Cat Grant was like in it for like two scenes. So
Cat Grant was in it. I didn't
yeah,
even
exactly.
notice.
She was barely there. But how did you feel about? I don't know. Where do we? Let's just start with the lowest issue because I really want to dive into that. The
That
first
was
issue,
that might have been my favorite issue of the whole thing, maybe
yeah.
bar the last couple.
So the
I
setup, yeah. No, no, no. Go
yeah,
finish your thought.
no, yeah, I love when Lois and Clark are done right, they're the best
Yeah,
couples in comics, like
there you
hands
go.
down.
So the setup for this whole thing is that Lex Luthor causes this scenario where Superman has to be close to the sun and he absorbs too much solar radiation, which normally would heal him, but it like is killing his cells, right? So he realizes he's dying, and that sets the whole thing into myth. So the first thing he does in one of the first issues is like, I'm gonna tell Lois who I am and like take her on this proper thing for her birthday. And one of the things I thought interesting off the bat was that no one is believing the Clark Kent is Superman
I
story,
love
and
that so much.
that's a running bit throughout the whole comic, and I'm like, yeah, that falls into line with like the stuff. But it was so obvious that he was. I thought it was so funny that they kept just denying it
Yeah.
completely.
Yeah, even Lex was like, yeah, there's no fucking way,
There's no
you know?
fuck. They're like, you have a really good Clark Kent disguise, man. I'm like, they're
I know
okay.
that shit was cracking me up. It was like, and that's why I think you can make a really funny Superman movie because like shit like that is so good. That is like a Looney Tunes ass bit, you know?
Yeah, yeah. It reminds me of what were they gonna? They were gonna do that one. Someone pitched a Superman movie where he was like hired, an assassin was hired to kill Clark Kent, but he kept failing because like the assassin doesn't know it's Superman, and so it was like a play on that type of thing.
That's so funny.
That's what
Yeah,
I'd
see,
love.
I'd love something like that. That
Oh yeah, it'd be great. But anyway,
I
he
think
takes Lois to the fortress, right? And the
yes.
whole thing is that she's kind of like uneasy at first of like what he's trying to do, and then it's revealed that he's giving her DNA so she can become part of his world for 24 hours, and then we go through that whole process, and she gets to. And then there's also a weird bit with Samson and Atlas, which I think is fun, I guess, but it felt kind of like of its time in both the comic and the movie.
It
But
did.
I loved the parts with Lois and Clark and her
Hmm.
just experiencing all that and then
Yeah,
like
seeing
kissing on the
her get
moon.
that was beautiful, and
Yeah.
getting to see her fly around with the powers, I thought was way better than it probably had any right to be. That could have come off really fucking stupid,
Yeah.
but I don't think it did. I think that they executed that very, very well.
Yeah. And it's cool that it's not just like a one-off for no reason. It ties into
It does.
events later on in the like crux of the third
Yep.
act.
Yeah, I
So,
mean that is the almost the inciting incident of the whole Lex plot line in this,
there
right?
you go. And that was the whole. So I thought that was a good first issue. Then we move into the Jimmy stuff. I don't really have much more to say. Otherwise, it's a fun little detour.
Yeah.
But um, then we move into the Lex Luthor in prison. So the whole thing is Lex Luthor sends himself to prison. He has
I
this
like that one
elaborate
a
plan.
lot. I like that one a
Yeah,
lot.
I thought it was really cool because you don't get to see Clark and Lex that dynamic a lot.
Yeah. And I like how it's like a specific line that really stuck out to me where Lex is
Yeah,
like, yeah, you're humble, you're normal, you're human, you're everything he's not. I'm
right.
paraphrasing, but I really, really, really like that line. And Clark's reaction I thought was really cool too.
I liked that even though Lex was like making fun of Clark for a lot of the because Clark Kent is dialing up the bumbling
Yeah.
guy. Like he's a goof, bro, in this one. And Lex is like clowning on him for that, but also like he clearly respects Clark and his journalistic ability. And I was like,
Yeah.
that's not something I normally see from Lex at all. I don't think
No.
I've ever seen him compliment Clark for being a good journalist.
Yeah, and I like that. I like that kind of.
Yeah.
I like it when the villain has like like a some respect for the hero.
Yep.
I always that's a trope that I usually go head or like head. I love it. I love that. That's one of my favorite like villain hero tropes that's out there. So I ate that up because it was a particularly like well done version of that.
Oh, and then it goes into a whole bit with Parasite being there, and Clark's like, I can't be near him. And I thought that was fun how they played with him, like doing Superman stuff, but not actually turning into. I thought it actually was
Yeah.
worked better in the movie because you got to see more of that like action, where in the comic it was just kind of
Yes.
like he
That
disappeared.
I would agree with you. That was the one part where I was like, "Oh, that's cool." They changed that up from the comic and punched it up honestly a little bit.
Right. I thought it made a lot more sense because in the comic he just kind of like goes into the smoke, and I'm
Yeah.
okay. I just assumed he wanted to get away from Parasite, but you can see that he's saving people in the movie, which I liked more. And then the end is weird because then they go to Lex's cell and he like says like, "Hey, the actual reason I built this weird little robot thing you see in the beginning of the
Yeah.
issue is to dig a hole." Um, and then it feeds into like some blood river with his niece. I just didn't understand this whole thing besides just to get Clark out of the prison. I thought it was a weird
Yeah.
thing. I,
Yeah, I
you
didn't
know,
really understand that either. That was a very elaborate escape.
and then he doesn't even use it himself. So I'm like, what were you building this for, Lex? Your plan is to get electrocuted so you
But
can
and
have
they do
the
bring that up. It's like yeah, I could escape, but I'm not gonna.
yeah. I the
He's a
other thing
schemer.
too, I love that Clark was actually upset. He's both there's two things. The first time he's like, "You could have been friends with Superman, like we could have
Yeah.
worked together. You know this." And then the second one he's like, "You said that if Superman wasn't here, you would do all these good things for humanity. Like you should try to do these if you're going to die soon." I just like that Clark's like he still sees the potential in Lex as like a mind and a tactician in
Yeah.
the good because we've seen it in a lot of these comics that we read like Kingdom Come. There's like moments where he is a decent person but then he always falls back on
Yeah.
his shit. So anyway, I thought that was cool. I don't know how I feel about the his like niece being there. I don't understand her whole character.
Correct. Is she rumored to be in the gun movie, or am I did I make that up?
Not as far as I know.
Okay, maybe I made that up.
Yeah,
But yeah, yeah, she doesn't. It's interesting to me because she doesn't really do all that much.
yeah,
She's not a huge part of the comic or the movie.
yeah. And they make her like really young in both of them, and I was like,
Yeah, I was wondering because they changed her age in the movie. Did they made her even younger, didn't they?
it went from 18 to 16.
18
I
to
guess that
16, yeah.
was it has to be just for the bit where he's like, "When I trust you with the car keys," I guess was the
Yeah.
only reason they changed the age. I don't know. Didn't understand the character. I guess it worked better in the movie because it was Linda Cardellini than just like words. But yeah, what? And then after that, he goes. on the whole Bizarro thing, I kind of got lost here. I was trying to juggle both the movie and the book, but like I forgot why he went to the Bizarro planet in the first place. Was it
Yeah.
like in the movie where he goes to find a safe place for the city?
Yeah,
Okay, it was the same thing, same plot. They glossed over it a lot in the movie. They're just like, I'm gonna go away
they
for a
did.
little bit, and
Yeah,
in the
and that's the thing with the movie. Like both the movie and the comic are real dense.
mhm.
There's a lot going on.
Oh yeah, and the movie's like flying through it. Like if you're
Yeah,
not,
it's a fucking hour long. Like
yeah,
it's bang bang bang.
I would have loved to know like what people felt about it who hadn't read the book because I was like following the beats, but I'm like you're skipping over a lot and you're going everywhere.
Yeah,
And but yeah, they skip over all the Bizarro stuff, which I thought was probably the right move because
I
as much as
agree.
I kind of liked seeing that like that smart Bizarro clone.
Yeah,
I just
that was cool.
I didn't think it was worthy of like a detour in the film, and
No.
also it doesn't tie as well into the plot as some of these other ones. Same with the Jimmy thing, but at least the Jimmy thing feels a little more connected. This one
Yeah.
felt like a big detour. And
And I found it interesting too
yeah,
because I thought that the parts that they chose to include from the comic were the right storylines for an adaptation on screen. But it's just that I don't think you should do it one to one. I think that you need to change things so it flows better as a film.
if you I agree if you're gonna cut stuff out. I think if they were gonna do everything, you could do a 1-to-1 and just see how it lands. But like if you're
That
gonna
would be a
chop stuff
mess.
up, like you
Yeah.
have to make it fit more. And I feel like they did a little bit, but again, that 70-minute runtime just constricts you so
Yeah, it
much
does.
and it feels you. Anyway, he comes back and it's been like months and everyone thought Clark Kent was dead.
Yeah.
Both in the comic and the movie, he has such a bullshit excuse.
Yeah, it is. It's so funny.
In the comic he literally says like, "Yeah, I was in a bathroom for months and I was all stocked up." And in the movie he changes it to like a bunker. But and
Yeah.
he's like both of them I'm just again, it plays back into the Clark Kent thing where everyone's like, "Okay, man, you're fine." But
Yeah.
anyway, he comes back and there's these new Kryptonian people, very like space age, old school style costumes, and it's kind of a play again on like Kryptonians like feeling like they're better and wanting to dominate, and we've seen that played out in a lot of different stuff, especially with like General Zod. But they're less antagonistic than
Yeah.
because they're still trying to like save people and do stuff. And then the whole thing is that they've taken over a lot of Superman's life, and they eventually are revealed that they're dying on the inside, and Superman still tries to do what he can for them, but like at the end, they're gonna go. This is another one that was like it worked a little bit, but I don't think it needed to be in the movie either.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
So I don't know. Both the comic,
I wish for the movie they had just honed in on the Clark Lois
I agree.
and Lex stuff and just left it there. I think that is the strongest stuff from the comic, and I think you could make a fucking good movie out of that.
Yeah, I also just thought the Bizarro stuff and then the two space age people were the two weakest issues, and those are back to back for me.
Yeah.
So it kind of had a bit of a lull when I was reading it. I'm like, okay, I don't know what we're really going for with this one,
I
but
like those issues, but I do agree like the beginning and end are the most compelling stuff in the comic for me.
yeah. And then we move into basically the third act, which is just Lex Luthor revealing his plan that he found a bit of
He's
the
an evil
serum.
bad guy.
Yeah,
He's
he's
an
the
evil
evil
bad
bad
guy.
guy. Took a bit of the serum, becomes a super Lex, and Clark Kent is like struggling. He first has to deal with this Sun Eater thing, which
Uh-huh.
is
Yeah, that shit
crazy.
was
Again,
wild.
very Grant Morrison weird.
There's some very weird concepts in this movie.
Yeah, and that ties back into Grant Morrison being
Yeah.
like,
Oh yeah.
I'm like as soon as I connected it to Doom Patrol, I'm like, yeah,
That
that
makes
makes
sense.
sense.
They do that.
But I like that they tied in he had his pet Sun Eater, and they tied that back into the plot even of
Yeah.
having him
That I
back.
like that.
So that was cool. It was just nice to see him like slowly deteriorating, but still remaining calm and
Yeah.
everything. And that is actually one of their inspirations was that they met this guy at a Comic Con like way back when SDCC in a Superman costume, and he was just sitting there like in a certain pose that just was very stoic and calm. And they're like, yeah, if Superman had all these godlike powers, like that's how he would act. He wouldn't be all stressed out in these situations. And
Yeah.
I think that plays really
That's
well into
cool.
the
I didn't
comic
know that.
because even as he's dying, right, he's very composed
Yeah.
and calm, except in certain moments, like when he's like upset at Lex or whatever. But
Yeah, yeah, you get those little moments where he breaks, and
yeah,
I really like the way that was written. Just those just brief, fleeting moments where he loses his cool and kind of
hmm,
snaps. I found that really compelling in it,
yeah,
and it helps flesh out Clark's character in this quite a bit.
yeah.
And even
Even in the
he snaps earlier on at the time traveling guys,
exactly, that's what I was gonna
which I
say.
thought was cool. That was another instance where I was like, oh, I haven't quite seen that side of Superman before.
Right, and you can tell just because he had this big plan to like,
Yeah,
be romantic to Lois, and
he
these guys are
wanted it to
getting
go
in the
so well.
way.
Yeah, they're fucking it
Right,
up.
and
They're
that all
trying to
just
cuck him.
the whole thing is, I don't think he would be upset if he didn't know he was on a ticking clock, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what's interesting too? In the book, Lois is like Superman dying is revealed to her a lot later than in the
Hmm.
movie. In the movie, Superman reveals it to her, and in the book, it's revealed by that scientist billionaire guy.
Who is
When
not in the movie
who
very
is
much at all.
no, but that's a big change.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think I like it more in the movie than the book.
Really?
I don't think the weight really landed. I like that Superman like had the courage to tell her straight up in the movie.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's what he would do eventually. Maybe not as early as he does in the movie, but I like that more than just it being revealed to her randomly. Because I
Yeah.
feel like maybe
I
she'd
get what
be
you
more
mean.
upset about that,
Yeah.
you know. But I don't know how you felt. Which one worked better for you?
I liked it being later on in the story in the comic. I thought that worked a little bit better. But I understand where you're coming from here with having it come from Superman himself and not the billionaire science guy.
Right. So it's a mix. I think I would have liked it from Clark, but like in the same point in the
Yeah.
comic where it would have worked better. But anyway, we see Clark deteriorating. He has that cool like spacesuit on, which is sick, and
That was
the
dope.
robots are helping him out. He defeats the guy, makes it look like he died. So Clark comes into the office and collapses as he reveals like Superman's dying or Superman dead is the headline. But then Lex Luthor comes, crashes the party, and then Superman comes back. Everyone's like, "Oh shit, you're not Clark Kent at all. You guys fooled us." And then they have their little goof.
That's one of my favorite moments from the whole comic. That's
So
just
funny,
it's so funny.
so funny. It plays well in the movie too.
It does. That really did.
Oh man. But yeah, then they fight and Superman uses one of his like what was it called? A gravity gun to
I
accelerate
believe that's what they
Lex's
called it.
he accelerated Lex's serum so the 24 hours gets up super fast. Honestly, in both the third act isn't anything like crazy. It just wraps it up. But
Yeah.
I thought it worked for what
Superman
it
has a
was.
lot of gizmos in these stories.
Yeah, and I think that calls back to like another thing. They said they wanted it to be timeless, and I think it plays a lot into the old Golden Age, Silver Age Superman.
Absolutely.
And I like that, but at the same time it's very out there if you're not used to like
It is.
reading a
And it's
lot of them.
weird.
It's weird. It gets it drops you in like there's no setting up anything. It's just like,
Yeah.
hey, this is Superman's world. He's on his last days. How like weird would everything still be even though he's dying? Like he's still fighting Doomsday Jimmy Olsen and shit.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so I mean that wraps it up pretty much
Yeah,
in the
Doomsday Jimmy Olsen was wild.
it was sick. I mean it was like 2 frames, but I liked it. I
Yeah.
thought it was yeah, the thing Lex's scheme, it's a classic Lex thing. I feel like
It
every
is.
comic so far we've mentioned Lex being like somewhat of an antagonist. I that's another thing that I mentioned last time. It works obviously here, but like
He's a
how
fucking
many
hater.
comics am I gonna read where Lex is the main villain, bro?
Yeah.
Like I need a break maybe soon. But we are reading Superman, so it's fair. I'm not even gonna be upset about that. But then Clark flies into the sun, sacrifices himself, and then it is the
It's a
death
really
of
beautiful
Superman.
ending.
It is. I loved his like skin cracking away and
That was
stuff
cool.
too. It was even him like being able to see his cells dying is super
I actually have a
fascinating.
question about that. Is this mainline continuity or was this like an Elseworld?
No, so essentially the All Star label is a kind of an Elseworlds label, and they gave it to big comic writers to have their own spins on stories.
Oh,
But
cool.
I don't think they did a lot of them. And I think one of the big reasons is the other title that came out before All Star Superman is the quite famous Frank Miller comic book All Star Batman and Robin, which has Batman saying a lot of slurs and problematic stuff, and him just being absolutely so mean to Robin. I don't know if you've heard about this book, man.
I
There's
don't
like
think
that
I
famous
have.
panel. There's that famous panel where he calls
Oh
Robin
my
a
fucking
arsler,
god,
and then he's like,
yes.
"I'm the goddamn Batman."
That's from that.
Yes,
That's
so that's the
wild.
other. So you had like All Star Superman, which is like regarded as one of the best stories, and then you have All Star Batman, which is regarded as one of the worst Batman stories ever. So I think that played into
Frank
why
Miller,
they
really?
written by Frank Miller,
I didn't know that. That's wild. Because Frank Miller, I mean, he's written some of the most iconic Batman
right?
stories of all time.
But he also is the edgy comic book writer,
That is true. He
arguably.
is. Oh no, absolutely.
So
That's not up for debate. He's the edgy
yeah,
one.
and I assume that's why we didn't get a lot of All Star series. But I thought it was a cool idea. But
So it
that's
was
something
just
you
All
could
Star
do.
Batman and All Star Superman. They did nothing else.
As far as I know, I mean, I can fact check too while we're talking, but yeah, is they just did the two, and this is the one that really blew up, and now they do the just standard Elseworlds Black Label
Yeah.
stuff, which I think works fine. I don't think you need to call everything All Star, but overall, how did you feel about both the comic and the movie?
I really loved the comic. I thought it was fantastic. It
Yeah.
was one of the better comics I've read in a while. I
Okay.
I I can't really put a time on like the last time I read a comic I liked this much, but it's been a good minute.
Yeah. I I have an interesting thing, but I'm gonna segue real quick. We were supposed to get three other titles: All Star, Wonder Woman, Batgirl, and Green Lantern, but none of them came out.
And now they're doing the absolute stuff, right?
Yeah, which I'm really interested in checking out soon
I do need
because
to
that'd be
check that
really
out.
cool.
I've heard great things about Absolute Batman. And I guess that's kind of the same idea, isn't it? It's kind of putting a new spin on the characters, right?
Yeah, but I'll fight you a little bit. I really like this comic. I don't know if it's like one of the best Superman of all time for me yet, but maybe I need to read more Superman and then get
I
a
would say
better
I haven't read
glimpse.
enough Superman to say it's the best Superman comic of all time. I'm just saying for me personally, in terms of what I've been reading
Yeah.
over the past couple months, this is a standout for me.
I think it played true to the kind of character you want to see Clark be.
Yeah,
And I'm liking that they're pulling from that, which we can dive into in a quick sec of
yeah,
for the Superman movie. But yeah, maybe it's just because it was a little all over the place with the episodic nature of it.
yeah.
Maybe if it was a little more straightforward, I would have been, yeah, this is the one. But because some of those issues didn't work as well for me, I think it wasn't one of my favorites. I just really like Kingdom Come Superman too, where I was like,
I
that was
really like
an age
Kingdom.
Superman
Oh
I
shoot,
really
you're
liked.
right. Kingdom Come, I love that. I might have liked Kingdom Come a tad bit more. I'm not. I don't know. Shit, I don't know. That's like an apples and oranges thing, isn't it?
If we're gonna go the three that we've read so far on this podcast, it's going Kingdom Come, All Star, and then Blackest Night for me. Is
I
where
would
I'd
agree,
be
I
at.
would agree with you, but I don't. I might put All Star above Kingdom Come. I don't quite know.
Okay, I
I
like
don't know.
that.
I'd have to think about that. I also just finished this like 2 hours ago, so
Yeah,
I haven't had the time to sit with it like I have with Kingdom Come.
yeah. As for the movie, like
It's fine.
it's all right. What's that one meme of the guy in the car? It's all right,
Yeah,
right? Like I don't know,
it's
man.
exactly what you think it's going to be.
Yeah.
It has fine animation, fine voice acting. Everything is fine. It's fine. It's fine.
I will say I do like. I know you said you don't like a one-to-one adaptation, but like after directly reading the book, seeing the scenes play out, especially the
It's
Lois
fun. There's a
one, it's
novelty
fun
to it.
to. But I don't know if it works as a full package as well.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah,
agree
I
there.
get what you're saying. The novelty does wear off after a certain point.
The one thing I'll say too, I forgot to mention this, but I'm gonna throw it in here. At the very end of the comic, Superman gives like that serum to the billionaire guy.
Yeah,
But in the movie, it's Lex Luthor giving it up as part of like his death row
yeah.
thing.
I didn't get that.
Liked it in the book a lot more.
I liked it in the book way more. I don't. They tried to give Lex like a weird redemption thing, and I just didn't really think it worked.
Yeah. In the movie, it's like this doesn't feel like something Superman would want. Where in the book, because he gives it up voluntarily, it
Exactly.
makes a lot
Yes,
more sense. But also the scientist guy is in the book a lot more than
he
in
is. Yeah,
the movie. So maybe I don't know. I thought it was a weird
it was
retcon.
weird. It was a weird retcon.
Yeah. Anyway, overall, really fun that we got to do both of these. I
This
like
was great.
having I liked having a film adaptation of the
Yeah,
book.
we
I
should,
thought that was
we'll
something,
definitely have to do this again. I think that would be a fun one to do. I've never seen the Year One movie. That could be a fun one to do at some point.
especially because like we don't need two episodes to knock both out. So it was cool that we got to do it in one
Yeah,
thing, and I it was so interesting watching the movie right after reading
it
it because
was.
it was like I was like I just saw that, so it's very fresh in your mind
A
compared to some other
Watchmen,
stuff.
Watchmen would be fun to do at some point.
I agree.
You could
Yeah,
do all three Watchmens. That'd be
just
a
a
long
big
episode, but
big powerhouse episode. I have a couple random things. Let me
okay.
see. Um, Not maybe not a ton. I originally planned this was gonna be in mainline continuity. They were gonna do a revamp series late '90s called Superman Now, and that kind of fell apart. But then they threw elements in, like Lex Luthor having his like redemption arc and stuff into this. I think it works a lot better as a standalone thing. Was my
Yeah,
main point in throwing that in there.
because then he doesn't have to come back from the dead, right?
Right, exactly. And then the other two things I already mentioned was after Dwayne McDuffie's passing. This is the first DC animated original movie, like not based on one of the animated series, to be PG instead of PG-13. Didn't notice it. Felt it
Interesting.
worked fine, you know. So,
Yeah.
the thing I noticed here, the Man of Steel monologue from Jor-El is like directly pulled from this.
Yeah.
And I love that monologue. They re-pulled it into Zack Snyder's Justice League, and it's so good. And I'm
Hmm.
like, it makes a lot of sense that they pulled it from like something
Yeah.
like this from Grant Morrison because it's incredibly well written. Of like, you'll give them something to strive for. I love that thing.
Yeah, that
So
was really good.
yeah, and then there obviously wait, I'm thinking of Kingdom Come, but there was an Arrowverse connection in Crisis on Earth X. They gave Supergirl the same like condition where she's dying from solar radiation and
Oh,
stuff.
really?
So that's the only like adaptation of this outside of the animated movie we've gotten, and I guess the Man of Steel monologue. But
Yeah.
yeah, those are little things. We got a quick news round, Jackson. I'm
All right,
gonna
let's do it.
cover one or two things from
Okay.
last week, but we'll run through them. Nathan Fillion returning as Guy Gardner in Lanterns.
Yep.
We'll see. I tonally, we'll see. I don't know. It's all over the place for me. Well,
I have to
I trust
see
the
him in the
creative team,
movie, and I have to
Right.
see what they're going for with the show.
Exactly. But I'm not worried about it.
No,
Is
I'm
my
not
main
either.
point. I talked about this that Bray Noel is cast as White Rabbit in Peacemaker season 2, and I
Yeah.
talked about her whole history in this past episode that we didn't release. That she could like literally race swap, and she race swapped into like a white woman in a bunny costume, like from Mad Hatter. And
Yeah.
I don't think they're doing that at all. But at the
I
same
think they
time,
are absolutely doing that. There
maybe
is
they
no
are with
way
James Gunn,
in
right?
high hell they are not doing that. You got to understand who we're talking about here.
That's
If there's
true.
anybody on planet Earth that would do that, it's James Gunn.
But is it gonna go over well? You know what I mean?
It depends on how you do it.
I guess it depends, right? The one thing is that like they revamped her post that as just like a standard villain, and they
Yeah.
cast a white actress, so maybe they're just doing a standard version. But I would be curious to see how James would adapt the original version because that's not
Yeah.
really wild to me. But we had a laugh about that like last week. Get into it.
Yeah, we're
Val-
gonna keep mentioning the episode that you guys are never gonna get to
I'm
see
so
just
sorry.
just to rub it in.
Just to
Just
rub
to
it.
rub it in. Make
Well, it
sure to
was really
send
good too.
well, yeah, just make sure to send Jalen a personalized message on Instagram telling him to go fuck himself.
We love you, Jalen. We miss you, Pookie. But you kind of fucked us over last week. Val Kilmer passed away, man. Age 65. This hit like a
That
truck.
was sad. That was really sad.
You know, obviously he wasn't doing well, and he wasn't in a lot of film and TV.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't like unexpected, but it definitely like watching back, the things I've known him for primarily obviously is Batman Forever, which is the
Yeah.
big relevance to this. But also I loved him in the Willow movie that came out in the 80s, and I love him in Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick. I think he's great in both of those.
Yeah, absolutely. He has a Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. That's another one.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
He has a really good career. And
Charismatic. So good.
yeah.
Oh, he was also in Prince of Egypt. He voiced one of the characters in that,
Oh,
which
cool.
is a DreamWorks movie I watched. Also really good. My whole point is we'll talk about it at some point, I imagine. Batman Forever kind of rocks. At
It
least
does.
from the
It really
Batman
does.
side, right? Like
I watched
Val
it.
Kilmer Batman works.
So I watched that for the first time just a couple months ago, actually, on a
Oh,
plane.
really? Okay.
And it was awesome. That movie's fucking wild. Like
how
that movie.
Batman Forever on the plane, dude. That's awesome.
I downloaded it on
Oh,
HBO
okay,
Max
okay,
on my
okay.
laptop before I got on, and
Hmm.
I was locked in, and that shit is crazy. That movie
And
is just genuinely fucking bananas.
apparently, there's a director's cut that's even better
I know
than
I've heard
the
about that, and I really want
right.
to see that.
But Val Kilmer, like in terms of replacing like Michael Keaton, which was already so big at the time, he did a damn
He
good
did
job.
good. He did good. Yeah.
And then we got George Clooney, but that's again conversation for another day. But anyway, rest in peace, Val Kilmer, the goat. Love you, buddy. Two other things. We're gonna do a quick recap of the CinemaCon footage for Superman, but first we got a quick HBO Max like teaser for all their
Oh,
stuff.
for Peacemaker.
Yes, we got the 5 second clip of Peacemaker season 2 and the release date August 21st, a day after my birthday. W. That's a good summer date. I like it. It'll be fun. We'll have to do some Suicide Squad Peacemaker stuff on the
And we're gonna have
show.
to figure out how we're gonna cover that. So, are we gonna want to cover it like day of or day after?
We'll figure out the whole thing, but I'm sure we'll talk about the episodes as they come out.
Yeah, we
But
will.
in terms of the footage, not much. The only line that Daniel Brooks says, like, "You're a superhero now," I think that's interesting that they're moving more into the anti-hero route, which is what they've done in the comics too with Peacemaker
Yeah,
at
Daniel
times.
Brooks,
So,
star of Minecraft.
star of a Minecraft movie, yes. So anyway, did you
Unfortunately,
any big takeaways from the 5 seconds of Peacemaker?
nothing at all. I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be fun.
I will say the only shots of Peacemaker so far have been the most gray because he's like
Yeah,
surrounded in like rubble. Give me like a clean shot of him
yeah,
because
it is odd.
it's not looking clean, man. But I'm sure it's fine. I'm so excited. Let me drop me the trailer. Let's get back into it. CinemaCon, we got footage for Superman and Dynamic Duo. We'll get into Superman for a second. I just thought it's interesting that they brought Dynamic Duo up in
Yeah,
anything.
and they're saying it looks stunning.
Right.
I've been interested in this one since they announced it because
Yeah.
it was just such an out. It's nothing anybody asked for, which is why I
Mm-hmm.
find it so interesting. You know, if you were going to do an animated Batman movie, one would think it would be Batman Beyond. But so that's kind of why I find this project fascinating because it's so out of left field. And if it's truly going to be like doing for stop motion what Spider-Verse did for like traditional 3D animation, oh
That'd be
boy, baby,
awesome.
we are fucking back.
The thing too, they've shown like the work they've done previously. Like we've seen some of the puppetry animations from
Yes,
the
and it looks
studio.
great.
I wasn't I wasn't fully in love with that
Really?
idea being placed onto DC because I'm like it's maybe I'm just not used to it, you know.
No,
But
it's
like
different. Yeah.
I think what they clearly if people love it as much as they do, I think they're doing something special with that where it feels even
Yeah.
more grandiose than like what I saw of the what they Swaybox have
Yeah.
done before.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like has been in the stop motion field for a while. Aardman's been doing that for a while. It's cool to see
Yeah.
DC trying that. I'm so curious how the public perceives that.
If it looks as good as they're saying it looks, then I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, and as far as we know, this is Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, but not Nightwing, Red Hood, right? It's
Yes.
Robin,
Yeah,
which is interesting.
it is.
So we'll have to see that. Superman didn't. We were expecting a trailer. We were gonna do a whole episode little bitty mini bonus thing for you guys talking about a trailer, like a full
Well,
trailer.
and it's funny because James Gunn went on Twitter and said that he doesn't even have the fucking thing done yet.
Not, bro's lying.
Lock in,
No
Jimmy.
way.
Lock in, Jimmy.
Anyway, didn't get a trailer right. I was upset, but we did get like a little clip or 5 minutes is what they were shown. But I was upset because I didn't think they were gonna release that as a thing. But
Yeah.
then I remembered that a Minecraft movie was getting the Superman preview, so my ass was there on a Friday night seeing a Minecraft movie. As per the podcast, I'm sure you were there watching Minecraft as
Oh,
well.
I saw a Minecraft movie.
Real quick,
I got the TNT popcorn bucket.
yeah, real quick, dude. I'm about to fight you on. I liked Minecraft
That
in
shit
an
was terrible. That
ironic
shit
way.
was terrible.
I had so much fun,
I couldn't even like it ironically. I'm sorry. I
bro.
tried. I couldn't. That shit was
I had
really
a
bad.
I had a blast, bro.
I liked that game and I couldn't I did not like that movie. I
I
tried.
think a lot of it, bro, was just the people saying all the lines. It was fun. It wasn't in an obnoxious way like I've seen some of these
Yeah.
figures. It was just like end game level people saying chicken jockey
Oh no, that
in the
happened in
name of
my
it.
theater too. It was kind of funny, but
Yeah.
even then,
Anyway,
it's like that shit was bad.
but what was worth it was seeing the glorious 5 minutes
Fantastic
of
Four
Superman.
trailer? Oh, that too.
I didn't see Fantastic. I don't think I saw that trailer.
Really? I got that. I
Mm-mm.
got Mission Impossible. I got like everything.
You lucky man.
I
You
know.
lucky man. Yeah, no. Superman footage. We get an extended scene of the crypto scene,
It
which
was
is what
really
the
cool.
first trailer
And
opens
it
up with.
did you see it in IMAX?
No, I saw it regular.
Oh
Unfortunately.
shit, dude, I saw it in IMAX. That shit looks nice. That shit
See.
I have seen the Superman trailer on a lot of big
Mhm.
different screens, but it does not look better anywhere than an IMAX screen. It just has like a texture to it that I don't think the other screens of your phone or a laptop like captures.
Yeah, I have one of these like 32-inch Fire TVs that I just like basically use as a monitor. Like I sit
Yeah.
relatively close to it, and it's not full 4K, but it presents really well. Like that thing was looking crisp as fuck.
Yeah.
They that I
And the
love the.
CG is really good.
I heard some people. We heard some people in our circles complaining about the colors of this movie or like the look of it. I love it so much.
I really, dude, I will tell you what, I have been there
I
since
adore it, man.
it took me some getting used to, but the more I see of it, the more I do kind of fuck with it.
It
It's
looks
different.
it looks like Guardians 3 and Suicide Squad, but like upgraded. Like he's
Mm.
improving, and everything's popping, man. So like
It
that
is the
shot
color
of
pops.
the
Yeah,
shot of the Daily Planet, and just those people in there, like Lois's purple vest, and then Cat
yeah,
Grant and Jimmy Olsen. It pops, bro. It's and especially the blues of the Kryptonite and the Fortress of Solitude. It's
it's
there.
nice. It looks nice. I there was so much backlash against it, and I don't know that it looks as good as like BVS, but because I do think that is one of the better looking comic book movies of all time, but.
But they're going for different looks, though,
They're
too.
going for
Like
different look. They absolutely. And
yeah.
I think Gunn is doing something genuinely ambitious with the visuals of this
Hmm.
movie on all fronts. And I think I kind of really love it. Like I
Yeah.
love how he's swinging for the fucking fences. And
Right.
I've been kind of defending the how this movie looks from day one, even if I wasn't totally in love with it. But
I
yeah.
think we're just in some echo circles because I think for the most part people are loving the look of this thing.
Well, and I think for the most part, people are probably not even going to give a fuck.
Right. Even about the look of it all. But
Yeah,
like I'm just excited that
I
it
am too.
looks as beautiful and awesome and colorful as it does.
Yeah,
Also the interesting thing was that we saw Crypto is like a little menace.
I love that.
And as someone that got a puppy in the family like last September, this is accurate.
It
Like they
is.
when they're young, they're menaces. And I love that from a superhero like
That
superpower angle. That's
yeah.
so cool. Cuz Crypto doesn't have much personality for the most part in adaptations. Maybe in the comics he's a
Yes.
lot more. But in adaptations like Titans, what
Hmm.
else is he in?
Dog.
I don't even know he was in League of Super Pets, but he was The Rock, you know. So
Yeah,
we're
that
not
doesn't
getting a
count.
really
Yeah,
cool Crypto adaptation yet. I love this little guy
I do. He's
already.
a little guy.
And I like that Superman just has to deal with it and he's getting a little bit upset,
Yeah.
which he normally wouldn't do, would be man, it was great. And then seeing the robots too. We see Alan Tudyk voice a robot, which was kind of
Yep.
interesting. And then they
Welcome back,
bring him in.
K2SO.
Yeah, another DC role for him, right? Like he just keeps racking them up.
Like Infinity Stones, that man is counting them like.
Oh man, he's past it. He's past the Thanos. He's got two
Yeah.
gauntlets. And then I saw people saying that like why does Superman need all the solar radiation? Because like why is he so beat up? That's the cool part, right? Like we get to see what
Yeah,
messed him up
I
so
love that.
badly. So I thought that was a weird complaint because I'm excited to see why it takes all this solar radiation to get him back up.
It was a good clip to choose.
Yeah, because it doesn't reveal anything about.
No.
At the same time, I do want to see more about what the movie's about
Oh
because
yeah.
I don't know like anything, man.
Yeah.
And that's where
I'm eager for another trailer. I don't even want to know what it's about as much as I just want to see some of the character dynamics. I'm eager to see some proper Lois and Clark. I'm eager for that, man. I really want to see that.
I want to hear a Nathan Fillion, Guy Gardner line just so I know what I'm getting into. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if it's bad, like let me know. If it's good, let me know.
Yeah.
Same with Hawk Girl. I love Isabella Merced. I want to see what she's like as Hawk Girl. Supposedly, both Edie Gaffigi's Mr. Terrific and then Metamorpho are supposed to be huge parts of this movie.
Yeah,
So
we've seen a shot of Metamorpho.
a beautiful shot that is,
It
though.
is a cool shot. It's a
That's
cool
like the
shot.
shot that always brings me. I'm like, oh man. The other thing too, we get like extended looks at the first trailer, kind of with this new thing. I
Yeah.
love that. We get to see Lex like say something like
He says
Superman's back.
something.
I love Nicholas Holt,
Hater,
Lex
just
Luthor.
hater energy, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. And then you even see like more of the monsters and stuff. So it's playing into the gods and monsters chapter
Yeah,
1, that type of stuff. Yeah, everything looks phenomenal to me. I just want more. Like give me more.
yeah. I just want the
Is my big
movie.
thing. The thing is Superman Day coming up soon. I think next week.
Yeah, that's a
Trailer
Friday,
then.
right? Isn't that a Friday?
Yeah. So
They
we
tend
wouldn't
to
talk
not.
about it for another 2 weeks if it happened.
They tend to not drop trailers on Fridays. Is the only thing, but they might make an exception for Superman
But
Day.
it's Superman Day,
That
right?
would make sense. Yeah.
I hope for something, right? We're gonna get something, I imagine.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But because they've already been teasing it on the socials, like Superman Day and stuff. So I'm curious what they want to plan to do. I would hope for a full trailer though, especially how close we are. And Minecraft's done now.
Yeah,
Minecraft's out. I also just thought like it was a smart play to put that footage ahead of Minecraft because it made
yeah,
so much money and it brought a lot of eyes there.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean that movie Minecraft is could crack 1 billion. So
Easily, yeah. So it was smart, but again, I think it would have been smarter to just do a full trailer. We're
I
close
agree.
enough. We're close enough. So I'm frustrated, Jackson, but like all the marketing they've shown me, I like. I just
You want more?
don't think they're showing me enough. But
I
maybe I
get
don't
you.
want to see too much. Maybe this is good. Maybe I'm like anticipated.
Yeah,
But I think like a general person is not keeping up with it because they're not putting anything out.
yeah. I get you.
So anyway, that will, I think, wrap up for this week. I had a great time. I'm
Yeah.
excited for next week. We are doing Constantine starring our one and only
Oh my
Keanu
God. Yeah.
Reeves. Yeah, that one's gonna be a fun one. Thank you all for listening. I hope to see you guys soon. Goodbye.